The night's atmosphere was thick with tension, but also a strange kind of electricity, an energy that whispered of something extraordinary. Everyone in the arena wanted to understand how this seemingly impossible upset had happened. Some clung to hope that it was a fluke. Others were inspired by the woman's courage and skill. Backstage, she sat quietly, wiping the sweat from her brow, her heart pounding. Not from the fight itself, but from the flood of emotions crashing inside her. Relief, joy, disbelief, and a deep, stubborn pride. She had walked into that ring expecting to lose, not because she lacked confidence, but because the world had drilled it into her head that people like her just didn't win. Her coach, a grizzled old man with decades of experience, came over and clapped her shoulder firmly. "You did good, kid. Better than good. You shook the foundation tonight." She smiled faintly, but there was something else in her eyes, something unreadable. "It's not just about this fight," she said softly. "It's about everything that brought me here." "And what's waiting next?" The coach nodded, understanding. This wasn't just a victory, it was the start of a journey that was bigger than boxing. Flashbacks crept in, memories of nights spent training under flickering fluorescent lights, in a tiny gym that smelled of sweat and determination. The old punching bag she had beaten to bits, the countless mornings when the world outside was still asleep, but she was already running through the empty streets, pushing herself beyond limits most wouldn't dare cross. She remembered the doubts, the sneers from people who said she was too small, too weak, too naive to step into that ring. Every insult, every "you'll never make it," had fueled a fire inside her. Tonight, that fire had burned brighter than anyone had expected, but victory was never just about physical strength. It was about the mind, about the resilience to keep moving forward when everything inside you wants to stop. It was about the courage to face fear, humiliation, and failure, and to rise anyway. That's why, even as she celebrated the win, a part of her remained guarded. There were questions she couldn't yet answer. How did she tap into that almost unbelievable strength? In the ring, what was it that gave her the edge over a champion many thought unbeatable? The answers, she knew, lay hidden in the shadows of her past, secrets she had kept locked away. Secrets she hadn't dared to face until tonight, because her journey wasn't just a story of survival. It was a mystery waiting to unfold. Outside the arena, the night was calm, almost peaceful. But inside her, the storm was just beginning. News outlets exploded with headlines. Underdog woman shocks boxing world. The night the giant fell. Unbelievable KO stuns fans. Social media buzzed with reactions. Some skeptical, many inspired, all eager to know more. Yet despite the spotlight, she felt isolated, not because she wanted to hide, but because the truth behind her victory was complicated. A truth filled with pain, hope, and a twist no one could have predicted. Days passed, but the world's fascination only grew. Invitations to interviews, offers to train with top fighters, and endorsements flooded in. But she declined most of them. Her focus was elsewhere. She needed time. Time to think, time to prepare, because deep down she knew this fight was just the opening act. Then, late one night, as she sat alone in her small apartment, a knock came at the door. She opened it cautiously. There stood a man, a stranger with eyes that seemed to hold secrets of their own. "I know who you are," he said quietly, "and I know what you're really capable of." She froze. Who was this man? How did he know her? What did he want? The mystery deepened. This was no ordinary fight, no ordinary victory. It was the start of something much bigger, something that would challenge everything she believed about herself and the world. The ring had been just the beginning, and now the real story was about to unfold. The knock at the door echoed in the small apartment like a thunderclap. She had barely slept, her mind still spinning from the whirlwind of the fight and its aftermath. The man standing there was unexpected. But there was something in his calm eyes that immediately unsettled her. "I'm not here to cause trouble," he said. "I want to help." She narrowed her eyes. "Why would a stranger want to help me?" He hesitated, then pulled out a photograph, a worn, slightly faded image of a younger version of herself, standing beside a man she hadn't seen in years. "Her father." "I've been looking for you," he said, "because there are things about your past you don't know, things that might change everything." She stared at the photo, memories flooding back, memories she had tried to bury. The struggles of childhood, the silence that had filled the house after her father disappeared without a trace. Her heart pounded as he explained what he knew. Her father had been involved in something much bigger than she ever imagined, connected to a shadowy world that thrived in secrecy and danger. The fight tonight wasn't just about sport or survival. It was a signal, a message meant to draw attention. "Why me?" she asked, voice shaking. "Because you're stronger than you think, and because you carry something inside you, a legacy. You don't yet understand." The room felt colder, the shadows longer. She realized the victory in the ring had opened a door she couldn't close. Days passed in a blur of questions and half-truths. She trained harder, but her focus was fragmented by the growing mystery surrounding her family and the strange man's warnings. He introduced her to a world hidden from everyday eyes, of people who moved in silence, who protected secrets at great cost. She found herself caught between two battles, one in the ring, where every punch and dodge was a fight for survival, and another in the shadows, where trust was fragile and danger lurked behind every smile. Her friends and supporters saw only the champion, the woman who had shocked the world, but she felt like a stranger to herself. The woman in the ring was strong and fearless. The woman behind closed doors was searching for answers that threatened to unravel her very identity. One night, a phone call shattered the fragile peace. "Be careful," the stranger warned over the line. "They're watching." Who were they? The question haunted her. She felt eyes on her constantly, followed, watched, evaluated. The champion she had defeated was only a piece of a puzzle far larger and more dangerous than a boxing match. Her survival skills were about to be tested in ways she never imagined. Her training sessions became more than physical drills. They were lessons in awareness, in reading people, in trusting instincts honed by years of struggle. Every bruise and scar told a story, but this time, the scars weren't just from fists. They were from secrets revealed, from battles fought. In the quiet spaces of the mind, then came a twist she never saw coming. The stranger revealed a letter written by her father shortly before he vanished, a letter that hinted at a secret he had hidden for her safety. Inside was a map, a code, a mystery wrapped in riddles. Deciphering it would take all her courage and intelligence. The days turned into a race against time. People she didn't know started asking questions. Shadows moved closer. The line between friend and foe blurred, yet through it all, she clung to hope. Hope that the truth would set her free. Hope that her strength wasn't just physical, but something deeper, an unbreakable spirit that refused to be crushed. The knock came just as the last embers of sleep were fading from her mind. She wasn't expecting anyone, least of all, a stranger. The dim light from the street lamp outside spilled into her tiny apartment, casting long shadows on the peeling wallpaper. She opened the door cautiously. The man standing there was middle-aged, his face weathered but his eyes sharp, eyes that seemed to carry stories deeper than the wrinkles on his skin. Without waiting for an invitation, he pulled out a worn photograph. "You recognize this?" he asked quietly. She took the photo with trembling hands. It was a picture of her as a child, smiling beside a man she hadn't seen since she was 7. Her father. A rush of memories flooded her, the warmth of his hug, the sound of his laughter, and then the silence after he disappeared without a word. The years of questions she had buried deep inside. "Who are you?" she demanded. "My name is Mark," he said. "I was A friend of your father's. She studied his face, searching for any sign of deceit. But there was only sincerity, mixed with a hint of urgency. I need to tell you things about your father, about why he left, and why you were chosen for tonight's fight. Her breath caught. Chosen. The fight that had stunned the world was not random. It had been planned. Mark nodded. Your father was involved in a secret that many want to keep hidden, and now that secret is your burden. The room seemed to close in around her, the victory in the ring, the roar of the crowd, the disbelief on the champion's face. It all suddenly felt like the surface of something much deeper and darker. In the days that followed, Mark became her guide to a hidden world. He introduced her to people who operated in the shadows, guardians of secrets, keepers of truths, buried beneath layers of deception. Each meeting peeled back another layer of mystery surrounding her father's disappearance. She learned that her father had discovered something dangerous, something powerful enough to threaten lives and change the course of history. And somehow, that knowledge had been passed to her, but with knowledge came danger. Threats began to shadow her steps, unseen eyes watching, voices whispering in the dark. The champion she had knocked out was connected to those who wanted to silence her, to stop the unraveling of their carefully guarded secrets. Her training took on a new meaning. It was no longer just about strength or skill, but survival. Every punch she threw, every dodge she made, was a step toward protecting herself from a world that was closing in. Yet beneath the physical, there was an emotional battle raging inside her. She struggled with fear, the fear of the unknown, of betrayal, of losing herself, but she also felt a fierce determination. This was no longer just a fight in the ring. It was a fight for truth, for justice, for the legacy of her father. One night, as she pored over the letter Mark had given her, a letter written in her father's shaky handwriting, she discovered a map hidden in the margins. It was cryptic, a puzzle wrapped in riddles. The letter spoke of a hidden truth, buried beneath layers of lies and fear. Decoding the map meant diving into the past, facing ghosts she had long avoided. It was a journey she wasn't sure she was ready for, but she knew she had no choice. The more she uncovered, the more dangerous the path became. People she thought were allies showed their true colors. Shadows shifted into threats, and the line between friend and foe blurred. But through it all, she found strength in memories of her father's love, of the fight that brought her here, of the unyielding fire inside her heart. The chapter closed with her standing on the edge of the unknown, the map clutched tightly in her hand. The next step was the hardest, to trust herself and walk into the shadows where the truth waited. The map was more than just a piece of paper. It was a key, a guide to a hidden world her father had discovered, a world of secrets that powerful. People wanted buried forever. She traced her finger over the faded lines and symbols, feeling a connection to her father like never before. Mark had warned her, "This path will test everything you are." The truth isn't just dangerous, it's life-changing. Her first destination was a remote cabin deep in the forest, where her father had once sought refuge. The journey itself was treacherous, with winding roads disappearing into fog and thick trees closing in around her. Her heart pounded, but the fire in her veins pushed her forward. At the cabin she found clues, old journals, hidden compartments, and a strange device that hummed faintly in the dim light. The journals spoke of a conspiracy, one that intertwined politics, greed, and a secret organization known only as the Collective. Each page she read revealed her father's desperate attempts to expose the truth while protecting his family. He had known that his knowledge put them all in danger, and the fight in the ring was more than just a match. It was a message, a cry for help. Her emotions churned, fear, anger, hope, and a fierce determination to finish what he had started. But she wasn't alone. Footsteps in the shadows, distant voices, and the feeling of being watched reminded her that those who wanted to silence her were closer than ever. Trust became a rare commodity. Back in the city, strange occurrences escalated. Her apartment was broken into, important items vanished, and cryptic warnings left behind. Her closest allies questioned their own safety. Mark urged caution, but also strength. "You have what it takes," he said, "but you can't do this alone." She assembled a small team, fighters, hackers, and a journalist with a knack for uncovering hidden truths. Together, they pieced together the connections, each discovery bringing them closer to the heart of the conspiracy and the danger. A breakthrough came when they decrypted the device found at the cabin. It contained encrypted files detailing the collective's plans, including the corruption that reached into the highest levels of power. The stakes became clear. Exposing the truth could topple governments, ruin careers, and risk lives. As the pressure mounted, she faced her own limits. The fight inside the ring seemed simple compared to the battle in the shadows. Every decision was a gamble, every step a risk. Her resolve hardened. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about justice, about reclaiming her family's legacy, and about proving that even the smallest fighter could change the world. The map felt heavy in her hands, more than just a faded piece of paper. It was a lifeline to a past she had barely begun to understand. As she traced the winding lines and cryptic symbols, she realized this was her father's last attempt to reach her, to pass on a secret too dangerous to speak aloud. Mark had warned her, his voice low and grave. "This path will test you, not just your body, but your heart and mind. The truth is wrapped in shadows, and some don't want it uncovered." But she wasn't going to turn back now. The roar of the crowd, the triumph of the ring, that was just the beginning. What lay ahead was a fight for survival on a much deeper level. Her first destination was a remote cabin tucked away in the thick woods outside the city. The journey alone was a test of will. The narrow, winding roads disappeared beneath a thick blanket of fog, trees crowding in like silent sentinels, guarding the secrets within. She drove with her senses sharp, heart pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. Every crackle on the radio, every sudden sound made her jump, but the fire inside pushed her forward. The cabin was old, weather-beaten, almost forgotten. The door creaked as she pushed it open, revealing dust-covered furniture and the faint scent of pine and decay. It was a place frozen in time, yet alive with whispers of the past. Inside, she found her father's journals stacked neatly on a shelf beneath a loose floorboard. The handwriting was hurried, sometimes shaky, but filled with urgency. As she flipped through the pages, the story unfolded. A tale of corruption, greed, and a secret organization known only as the Collective. Her father had stumbled upon their plans, dangerous schemes that threatened lives, governments, and the fragile balance of power. Each entry revealed his growing fear and resolve. He wrote of coded messages, hidden clues, and a device he had managed to secure, something that held the key to exposing the truth. He had vanished to protect it and to keep his family safe. Her emotions swirled, the ache of loss, the sting of betrayal, but also a fierce pride. Her father had been a man of courage, and now that courage had been passed to her, but the shadows were closing in fast. She wasn't alone at the cabin. The sense of being watched was undeniable. Footsteps in the distance, whispers carried by. The wind and the sudden disappearance of her phone signal sent chills down her spine. Returning to the city didn't bring relief. Her apartment had been broken into, ransacked, but oddly nothing stolen. Just a silent warning. Mark's face appeared in her thoughts. They're closer than you think. Every step you take, they're watching. Realizing the battle was bigger than her alone, she began to gather allies. There was Jenna, a former fighter turned hacker with a reputation for digging up dirt on the powerful. Marcus, a journalist whose instincts for the truth were unmatched. And Carlos, an ex-military trainer whose loyalty was unquestioned. Together they formed a fragile alliance, each with their own reasons to fight, each aware of the risks. Their first breakthrough came from decrypting the mysterious device her father had left behind. It hummed quietly in her small apartment, a metal box no bigger than a book. Jenna worked tirelessly, fingers flying over the keyboard as layers of encryption fell away. Finally, the screen revealed files, documents, videos, recordings, all pointing to the collective's vast network of influence and corruption. The files exposed plans for political manipulation, corporate sabotage, and even illegal operations that reached into the highest echelons of power. It was a web of deceit so vast it was almost unbelievable. They realized that exposing this could topple governments, destroy careers, and put lives at risk, including theirs. The tension grew as their discoveries made headlines in underground circles, catching the attention of powerful enemies. Threats arrived by phone, by message, a chilling text on her phone, "Stop digging or else." Fear crept in, but so did resolve. She remembered the lessons from the ring. Strength wasn't just about fists, but about heart. Every punch thrown was a testament to her will to survive. She trained harder, mentally and physically. Her team tightened security, but the sense of danger was ever present. Yet amidst the darkness, moments of hope shone through. Marcus uncovered a whistleblower within the collective, someone willing to talk, but terrified for their life. Jenna's hacking revealed safe houses and secret meetings. Carlos trained her to fight smarter, not just harder. Every lesson was preparation for the storm ahead. Her emotions were raw and complex. Fear, anger, hope, grief. But most of all, a burning determination to finish what her father had started. She was no longer just a fighter in the ring. She was a warrior in a battle for truth. The final scene of Part 3. She stands alone on a rooftop overlooking the city skyline, the cool night air brushing her face. Her phone vibrates, a message from an unknown number. "We see you. This is bigger than you think." She stares out into the night, knowing the fight ahead will demand everything she has. The city's lights flickered below her as she stood on the rooftop, the chilling message glowing on her phone. The fight wasn't just physical anymore. It was a battle of wills, truth and survival against invisible enemies. She took a deep breath. This was her moment. The final bell was about to ring. The weeks that followed were a blur of tension and strategy. With the whistleblower's help, the team gathered irrefutable evidence against the collective. Documents, recordings, and first-hand testimonies revealed layers of corruption, manipulation, and greed that shook the foundations of power. But the collective was ruthless. Every step closer to the truth meant more danger, more threats. Her friends were targeted. Jenna's apartment was broken into. Marcus received threats that forced him into hiding, and Carlos was assaulted in a brutal warning. Despite the fear, they pressed on. The truth had to be told. The team organized a live broadcast, an exposé that would reveal everything to the world. The moment was set, the audience vast, the stakes higher than ever. On the day of the broadcast, she felt the weight of every decision, every risk. The fight in the ring had taught her discipline and strength, but this was a new kind of fight, one where words and evidence were weapons. As the broadcast began, the world watched. The collective's web unraveled before millions. Shock, outrage, and disbelief rippled across nations, but just as victory seemed within reach, chaos erupted. The collective struck back, deploying mercenaries to silence the broadcast. Security. Guards were overwhelmed. The team was forced to scatter. In the confusion, she was cornered, but she was ready. Her training kicked in. The instincts honed by years of fighting came alive. What seemed like an impossible battle turned into a masterclass of resilience and courage. Every punch she threw, every move she made was more than defense. It was defiance. In the heat of the struggle, she remembered her father's words from the letter, "Strength isn't just in muscle, it's in heart." Drawing on every ounce of courage, she fought through the chaos until help arrived. Law enforcement, tipped off by the whistleblower's timely call. The collective was exposed, its leaders arrested, their plans dismantled. The aftermath was a mix of relief and reflection. The world changed, and so did she. She stood in the spotlight once more, not as a boxer who knocked out a champion, but as a woman who faced darkness and refused to back down. In the quiet moments that followed, she understood the deeper lesson of her journey. Life's greatest battles aren't always fought in the ring. They are fought in the heart, in choices, and in the courage to stand up for truth, even when the odds are overwhelming. Her story became a beacon for others, a testament to resilience, hope, and the power of one person to change the world. The final bell had rung, but her fight, her legacy, was only just beginning. The end.